Hello folks, and welcome to another episode of Mego Museum's Vintage Mego. Our subject this week is one of the most iconic spaceships of the 1970s, and that would be the Buck Rogers Starfighter. I know I've mentioned this before, but Buck Rogers in the 25th century was Mego's only successful science fiction line of the late 1970s. What's interesting about that is I don't think Mego had high expectations for this license. They assumed that Star Trek the Motion Picture or The Black Hole multi-million-dollar deals would be their hits for the season. As an interesting side note to Buck Rogers, in 1978, Mego flew their director of design, John McNett, to Toronto to catch the screening of the Battlestar Galactica movie to see if it is something that they could license. McNett's review to Marty Abrams was, unlike Star Trek, which always ended with an upbeat, Battlestar Galactica was really a formulaic merge of Lost in Space and Bonanza with highly derivative effects and a continuing, somewhat mindless battle with robotic Cylons. He concluded that the show was not likely to last beyond its first season. Marty Abrams accepted it, and Battlestar Galactica was never mentioned again. It seems interesting that after passing on Galactica, they would jump on Universal's next property, Buck Rogers. However, the rumor is that the license was picked up as a favor to the agent selling it, as he had brought Mego some good fortune. Other things that have been mentioned about the license from Marty Abrams himself is that the deal was pretty fair. In fact, he described it in the late 90s as, "Buck Rogers was okay, I got out of that deal with all my vital parts." Buck's success has to be attributed to several factors. One, the television series was a weekly commercial for the toy line, and even though the toy line was based on the movie, most of the characters were recurring. That's right, Draco. I'm looking at you. The second thing was Mego wisely chose to offer the big stars of the show the ships to go with the figures. This is me editorializing, but in my opinion, the Mattel Battlestar Galactica line was seriously marred by a lack of vehicles the figures could sit in. And of course, one of these Buck Rogers vehicles is our subject today, the Starfighter. So let's take a look at it. Legend has it this ship was actually born out of a rejected concept for the Battlestar Galactica Viper. The same John McNett who rejected Battlestar Galactica oversaw the production and design of all the vehicles and the Twiki action figure. The Buck Rogers line was also the first job assigned to a young Tori Maccaro in what would be a long career in the toy industry. Tori shared this shot of the prototype Starfighter with the Mego Museum in 2007. Part of the marketing for this line was the accuracy of the models. Right on the box, it reads, authentically styled from the official Buck Rogers blueprints.
The Starfighter and Buck Rogers.
Okay, Kane, get ready to fight.
Meet Kane and the Draconian Marauder.
You'll never catch me.
Planes need assembly. Each plane and action figure sold separately. There's Twiki.
Get the robot.
You can pretend he's being chased by Draco, Tigerman, and the Draconian Guard.
Calling Buck Rogers, help!
Buck Rogers, Twiki, Draco, and Tigerman, each sold separately by Mego.
Longtime viewers of Vintage Mego may remember that my Buck Rogers action figure suffered a serious injury in the Land Rover video, so Colonel Wilma Deering will be piloting for us in this episode. The ship itself is fairly simple to construct. It comes with separated front nose cones, main landing skids and stabilizers, and rocket exhaust assembly. The nose cones are of a different, softer plastic, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up about the design of this ship. It is a bit of a weapon. If you've ever noticed the Corgi version of this, they had to add a bar across the front because basically kids would just be stabbing each other with this thing. It's fairly easy to assemble. There is something of a conception that this isn't very sturdily made. I would liken the plastic to it to be similar to the Mego Micronauts toys that were coming out at the same time. I think it's a fine toy. It would fall just slightly below Kenner's Star Wars line, and Lord knows I broke my TIE Fighter and X-Wing too as a kid. The gold standard, of course, for me would be the Fisher-Price Adventure people. That stuff was just indestructible. To surmise, I'd honestly have to say this is one of the better efforts by Mego, especially a late 70s effort. This is a screen-accurate depiction of the vehicle from the series, and it really adds to the play value of the Mego Buck Rogers line, which is one of my favorites. I, as always, would really like to talk Buck Rogers with you. I always like to talk Buck Rogers with people. You can hit me up either here in the comments or at megomuseum.com. We have a forum that's been running for over 20 years. We also have a giant Facebook group called Mego Mania where lots of people want to discuss Buck Rogers with you. There's no wrong way to do it. Thanks as always for watching. If you're new to this, I hope you'll consider hitting like and subscribe. Wherever you are, I hope you're staying safe and having fun. Let's talk Mego action figures. Take care.